Let's talk about something that pretty much all of us know well, that constant noise, that chatter inside our own minds. And maybe more importantly, how we can learn to be the architect of our own inner quiet, how we can move from all that chaos to a sense of calm. It's always there, isn't it? That voice inside your head. From the second you wake up, it's off to the races, narrating, analyzing, questioning every little thing. It never seems to take a break. And that's what's so exhausting, right? You can be completely drained, just wanting to rest, but your mind is still running a marathon. It just refuses to quiet down, even when all you want is just a single moment of peace. And then the what-ifs start. What if I mess that up? What if they're mad at me? What if I fail? It's this endless loop of imagining all these future scenarios, and they almost always focus on the absolute worst possible thing that could happen. And here's the real trap. The more you try to wrestle with those thoughts, the more you try to think your way out of the anxiety, you just get pulled in deeper. The thinking itself actually becomes the problem. So let's take a good look at this mental chatter. It's not some personal flaw you have. It's a deeply human thing. But if we want to manage it, we first have to really understand what it is. And here's a really important idea to get our heads around. Not all thinking is the enemy. There is a huge, huge difference between productive, helpful thinking and that destructive looping cycle of overthinking. This really gets to the heart of it. See, overthinking isn't some super intelligent, deep analysis. It's just uncontrolled. It doesn't find solutions. It actually creates new problems, new worries, new reasons to feel anxious. Let's just break this down. Thinking, real, productive thinking, is a tool. It helps you solve things. It gives you clarity. It moves you forward. But overthinking, that's a trap. It just creates confusion and keeps you stuck, going around and around in circles. This quote, it just nails it. Overthinking feels so logical, doesn't it? It feels like we're being responsible, we're being careful. But if you look underneath that mask, what you'll usually find is just fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of what might happen. So, if it's so unhelpful, why do we even do it? Well, it turns out our brains have a very specific plan, even if it is a little misguided. You see, your brain is genuinely trying to help you out. Its logic is pretty simple. Hey, if I can just think through every single possibility, I can stop bad things from happening. I'll be prepared. It's trying to create a sense of control in a world that feels, well, pretty uncontrollable sometimes. And that's the real question we have to ask ourselves, isn't it? No matter how much you think, you can't get rid of all the uncertainty in life. So at some point, all that analyzing just becomes an attempt to control something that you can't actually control. This is such a critical thing to remember. Our brains are survival machines. They evolved over millions of years to look for danger and keep us safe. Their number one job isn't to make us feel happy or calm, it's to keep us alive. And sometimes its attempts to protect us just create a whole lot of noise. Okay, so we get what it is and why it happens. Now for the most important part. Let's get practical. How do we actually step out of this cycle when we're caught in it? First, we've got to see the loop for what it is. It usually kicks off with just one little thought. That thought sparks some fear or anxiety, and that fear, well, it makes you think even more to try and solve the fear, which of course just creates more fear. And round we go. So listen, this is the key. You cannot win an argument with your own anxious mind. You can't outthink an overthinking problem. The goal is to interrupt the whole process. Just step off the hamster wheel. So how do we do that? How do we break the loop? It's a simple 3-step process. It's not always easy, but it's simple. First, you just notice. You say to yourself, there it is. I'm starting to overthink. Step 2 is the hardest part. You make a conscious choice not to engage. You don't argue with it, you don't analyze it, you just let it be. And then, step 3, you actively pull your attention back to the present moment, back to reality. And what does return to reality even mean? It just means getting out of your head and into your body, into your senses. Pay attention to the feeling of your own breathing. Notice the feeling of your feet on the floor. Get up and go do something simple, like make a cup of tea, or just listen to the sounds in the room. Anything that anchors you right here, right now, will break that loop. And this all leads us to the final and probably the most powerful idea. If endless thinking just creates confusion, there is one thing that works as the ultimate antidote. It's honestly that simple. Taking action, even a tiny, imperfect step, is the fastest way to quiet the mind. Because action pulls you out of that imaginary world of what-ifs and plants you firmly in the real world of what is. When you're just stuck in your head, everything feels complicated and confusing. But when you take action, you get real feedback from the world. You learn something new. You move forward. Action delivers the clarity that overthinking only promises. As we finish up, just let this idea sink in for a moment. Your thoughts are just thoughts. They aren't orders from headquarters. They aren't facts. They are just suggestions that pop up in your brain. And you have the power to just look at them without having to believe them. And in the end, that's really what this is all about. It's not about trying to get a better mind or get rid of thoughts. It's about changing your relationship with your mind. It's about learning to let the thoughts come and let them go, without letting them run the whole show. It's about finding that quiet space that always exists between them.